All right, since it's recording. Cool. Starting 3, 2, 1. Welcome to our discussion on the vital role of the company secretary in cybersecurity. In an era where digital threats are constantly evolving, understanding the intersection of corporate governance and cybersecurity is more important than ever. My name is Hafiz Shaharuddin. I am an undergraduate student currently studying cybersecurity, and I'm also an ambassador for Lecture Connect. Now, I would like to introduce you to Elizabeth Williams. I'm really excited about this presentation as it is really interesting to understand the relationship between cybersecurity and the company secretary. I'm going to hand it over to you, Elizabeth. Why don't you tell us a bit about yourself, your job title, and how would you describe your role?
Sure. So I am a senior chartered governance professional. I've been working in the industry now for just over 16 and a half years across various segments. I'm currently working in the investment banking arena. How would I describe my role? I would describe it in two different buckets. One, as a gatekeeper, a subject matter expert who partners with the business to ensure the right level of information flows from the business to the boards that I serve. And two, as a lighthouse. So partnering with key executives in the business and also with members of the board to navigate the regulatory landscape and prepare the companies that I serve for compliance, but also for the right culture and conduct within the business.
What is the relationship between your role and cybersecurity?
So, as you alluded to earlier, Hafiz, in a world where the threat of cyber breach is on the rise, given platforms such as technology platforms, such as using AI to do business, but also just even working with, sorry. So, as you alluded to earlier, Hafiz, given the rise of cyber threat, especially with the increased use of technology, I would say that the role between a company secretary or a governance professional and cybersecurity is very important. So one of the things that we do is work with the business to ensure that we have a robust understanding of what's coming down the pipeline from a regulatory perspective and ensure that there are robust policies in place to kind of adequately respond to such requirements, whilst also serving as a subject matter expert from a governance perspective to the board. So ensuring that they are taking the right steps, whether it's ensuring we have the right expertise when we're doing succession planning for the board in cybersecurity and technology, down to ensuring that the business has the right platform to communicate, requirements for risk mitigation, for example, or how we audit the systems that we have in place. So I would say that the role between a governance professional and cybersecurity is a very strategic and important one.
Thank you very much, Victoria. Now, what type of engagement do you have with senior management?
Could you say that again? I'm Elizabeth.
Sorry, apologies on that. Thank
Not
you
all.
very much, Elizabeth. Now, what type of engagement do you have with senior management?
So the engagement I have with senior management spans from facilitating or undertaking directors' duties training, so board, ensuring that there is continual board engagement across various themes that may impact the business. And again, working with the business to ensure that we are addressing the most pertinent issues that support the board to set the strategic direction of the company, but also to critically assess and challenge various issues that may arise from time to time. So let's say, for example, within the information security management protocol of a business, it's partnering with the CISO to better understand the policy, ensuring that the policy accurately reflects the regulatory requirements, and then supporting the communication of policy requirements to the board and enabling the business to do the right thing in alignment with regulatory requirements.
How has your role as the company secretary changed over time, Elizabeth?
So I would say that this role has changed in more than one way. Primarily, okay, I would say that this role has changed in a number of ways over the last few years. Instinctively, when people used to hear the word company secretary, they often used to believe that we were solely administrative in function and purpose. But as regulatory and corporate governance matters have come to the fore, this role has now been seen as one of a trusted advisor. So typically, you will see us sitting to support the CEO and chairs of different boards and communities to manage the board process, but also taking on the hat of various business leaders. So I often say we're a jack of all trades, a master of all. So we partner with tax, we partner with finance, we partner with technology, we partner with risk, with audit to better understand, have a holistic view on what challenges the company may face, and then supporting the board in delivering on its overall strategy to address those challenges. So yes, I would say that typically now you will see a governance professional, which is actually what we're called now as opposed to company secretaries, but you'll see a governance professional sitting as a subject matter expert for corporate governance and a trusted advisor to the board and also stakeholders in the business.
Now, how does technology affect corporate governance, Elizabeth?
So I would say that technology has a huge impact on corporate governance, whether it's the type of systems we use to manage entities across the group, or how we put together board materials and enable our directors to access those board materials, all the way to how we report about the robust protocol for systems, technology systems within the business. One moment. So take, for example, at the moment, I'm currently working on a project relating to the Digital Operational Resilience Act and providing training to some of our directors on bettering our regulatory framework, our internal framework, sorry, to better understand how the entity that I currently serve can align with the technology requirements under this particular regulation. So, like I say, it could be anything from the way we use technology and mitigate risk in the way that we use technology, all with the aim of protecting the interests of consumers that subscribe to the services that the company provides.
Now, how do you explain to the board the importance of cybersecurity, Elizabeth?
So, I mentioned earlier stakeholder partnership, and I think this is a really important part of how we explain cybersecurity and the importance of cybersecurity to the board. It's often the case that the board is comprised of a number of different non-executive and independent non-executive and executive directors, all of whom may not necessarily have a technology background. Therefore, it's very important to work with stakeholders in the business, like the CISO, like the head of cybersecurity or technology, to better understand the context of what is being reported to the board. Working with them around language, idioms, and expressions to ensure that every single member of the board is empowered to understand exactly what the issues are so that they can make good decisions that guide and empower the company to comply with regulatory requirements in the cybersecurity space. So the way we explain this, like I said, is just partnering with the subject matter experts in the business.
Appreciate your answer on this, Elizabeth. Now, on to our final question. What would you say are your 3 key takeaways?
So my first key takeaway is to shine a spotlight on the importance of having a finger on the pulse approach to My first key takeaway is to shine a light on the importance of having a finger on the pulse approach to regulatory horizon scanning. This is a key part of what we do as governance professionals, because not we don't want the company to be reactive. We want the company to be proactive in its approach to compliance and ensuring that it protects the interests of the consumers that the company serves. So you'll often find that partnering with regulators, for example, to better understand what's coming down the pipeline often serves to be quite integral or quite so partnering with regulators often proves to be very, very important when aiding the board's understanding of what's coming down the pipeline and ensuring that the company has the right policy, protocol, and systems in place to adequately respond to regulatory requirements. I think this ties in very nicely with my second key focus, which is a failure to plan is a plan to fail. Really important, I think, to have a robust strategic plan for the year. And you'll often find a governance professional partnering with the chair or the CEO of a business to better understand what the strategic objectives are for a business and working with the board to work through those strategic objectives and then developing a board planning agenda for the year that adequately meets the needs of the business. Finally, I would say be solutions oriented rather than problems oriented. It's typically the case when it comes to technology protocol that we need to have policies in place that enable us to have a robust approach to the way that we mitigate risk. So again, partnering with the likes of audit and partnering with the likes of risk to better understand where those risks lie within our technology framework, with a view to enabling stakeholders in the business to take affirmative actions when there is a breach, for example, of our policy, but also enabling and directing the conversation at board level in a way that, again, brings really positive results for the business.
All right, thank you very much, Elizabeth. To conclude, the role of a company secretary is integral to the cybersecurity posture of your organization. Thank you very much for sharing your valuable insights and experiences. And with that, this concludes our presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we shall stop the recording.